concerning the departure of Paulo and company from Asia. Acts chapter 21. And when it was that we were parted from them, and had set sail, we came with a straight course to Go, and the next day to Rhodo, and from thence to Patara. And having found a ship crossing over to Poinike, we went aboard and set sail. And when we had come in the sight of Cupro, leaving it on the left hand, we were sailing to Haram, and landed at Thor, for there the ship was unloading the cargo. And having found the disciples, we tarried there 7 days, and these were saying to Paulo through the Spirit, not to be ascending to Hierosolyma. And when it was that we had accomplished the days, we departed and went on our journey, they all with women and children, bringing us forward till we were out of the city. And having set the knees upon the beach, having prayed, we hugged each other goodbye. And we went on board the ship, but they returned home again. And when we had finished the voyage from Thor, we arrived at Ptolemai, and having embraced the brothers, we abode with them 1 day. And on the morrow we departed, and came to Caesarea, and entering into the house of Philippo, the announcer of the announcement, who was one of the 7, we abode with him. Now this man had 4 virgin daughters prophesying. And as we tarried there some days, there came down from Judea a certain prophet named Hagab. And coming to us, and taking Paulo's belt, he bound his own feet and hands, and said, Thus saith the Holy Spirit, So shall the Yehudim at Jerusalem bind the man that owneth this belt, and shall deliver him into the hands of the nations. And when we heard these things, both we and they of that place besought him not to go up to Jerusalem. Then Paulo answered, What do ye, weeping and breaking my heart? For I am ready not to be bound only, but also to die at Jerusalem, for the name of the Lord Yeshua. And when he would not be persuaded, we ceased, saying, The will of the Lord be done. And after these days we took up our baggage, and went up to Hierosolyma. And there went with us also certain of the disciples from Caesarea, bringing with them one Mnason of Cupro, an early disciple, with whom we should lodge. And when we were come to Hierosolyma, the brothers received us gladly. And the day following, Paulo went in with us to Jacobo, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he was bringing out one by one the things which the God had wrought among the nations through his serving. And they, when they heard it, glorified the God, and they said to him, Thou seest, brother, how many myriads there are among the Yehudim of them that have believed, and they are all zealous for the law. But they were instructed concerning thee, that thou teachest all the Yehudim who are among the nations to forsake Moshe, telling them not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. What is it therefore? They will certainly hear that thou art come. Do therefore this that we say to thee. We have 4 men that have a vow on them. Having taken these, be thou purified with them, and pay thou for them, so that they shall shave for themselves their heads, and all shall know that there is no truth in the things whereof they have been instructed concerning thee, but that thou thyself also walkest orderly, keeping the law. But concerning those of the nations that have believed, we wrote giving judgment that they should keep themselves from things sacrificed to idols, and from blood, and from what is strangled, and from sexual sin. Then Paulo took the men, and the next day, purifying himself with them, went into the temple, declaring the fulfillment of the days of purification, until the offering was offered for every one of them. And when the 7 days were almost completed, the Yehudim from Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the multitude and laid the hands on him, crying out, "Men of Yisrael, help! This is the man that teacheth all men everywhere against the people and the law and this place. And moreover he brought Hellenes also into the temple, and hath profaned this holy place." For they were being ones having before seen with him in the city Tropimo the Ephesio, whom they supposed that Paulo had brought into the temple. And all the city was moved, and the people ran together, and they laid hold on Paulo, and dragged him out of the temple, and immediately the doors were shut. And as they were seeking to kill him, tidings came up to the 1,000 ruler of the cohort, that all Jerusalem is being stirred up. And forthwith he took soldiers and 100 rulers, and ran down upon them. And they, when they saw the 1,000 ruler and the soldiers, stopped beating Paulo. Then the 1,000 ruler came near, and laid hold on him, and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and inquired who he was, and what he had done. And some shouted one thing, some another among the crowd, and when he could not know the certainty for the uproar, he commanded him to be brought into the castle. And when he came upon the stairs, so it was that he was borne of the soldiers for the violence of the crowd. For the multitude of the people followed after, crying, "Away with him!" And as Paulo was about to be brought into the castle, he saith to the 1,000 ruler, "May I say something to thee?" And he was saying, "Art thou knowing to speak by use of language of Hellenes? Art thou not then the Mithri, who before these days stirred up to sedition, and led out into the wilderness the 4,000 men of the assassins?" But Paulo said, "I am a Yehudi of Tarso in Cilicia, a citizen of no insignificant city, and I beseech thee, permit thou for me to speak to the people." And of him having permitted, Paulo, standing on the stairs, beckoned with the hand to the people. And when a great hush became, he spoke to them in the Hebraist dialect, saying, "Men, brothers and fathers, hear ye the defense which I now make to you." And when they heard that he spoke to them in the Hebraist dialect, they were the more quiet.